All right, now moving to our scheduled first recognition report and presentation, we'll recognize Councilmember Ed Yerha.
Thank you, Mayor. From time to time during this year, we'll be adding a few brief moments of Cary history to our council meetings, and I hope you enjoy them. Tonight's topic is Cary becomes a town. How did that happen, and why are we talking about it this year? You'll notice the Cary 150 logo, something that you're going to see often this year, because Cary's official date of incorporation was April 3rd, 1871. So if you do the math, April 3rd this year will be Cary's 150th anniversary as a town. An easy way to remember April 3rd, 2021 is 4321. Kind of neat. But no matter how you express it, it's time to say happy birthday to Cary. Incorporating was the thing to do in those days. After all, the region was growing very fast. There were about a whopping 200 people living in the Cary area at that time, 200 people. And you see here various incorporations around that same time. You see Durham and Clayton beat us by a couple years, and trailing us just by a few years is Apex in '73, Morrisville and Youngsville following, Holly Springs and Wake Forest, all within a few years. And this is just a partial list. There are more. The person behind Cary's incorporation 150 years ago was none other than Jack Smith. That's not correct. Jack was not around 150 years ago.
That was good.
Almost,
That was good.
but not quite. Actually, in Cary, when it came to incorporating, Allison Francis Page, better known as Frank, was the guy to do it. Frank and his wonderful wife, Kate, raised their 8 children right here. And when I say right here, I mean literally right here, because the Page homestead, pictured on the right, stood on what would later become our town hall campus. And it stood right here for over 100 years until 1970, when it was sadly destroyed by fire. The only remnant of the Page homestead still standing is the smokehouse in the Ann B. Kratzer Gardens at the Page Walker Arts and History Center. And I encourage everybody to stop by downtown and visit it during this anniversary year. When Frank and Kate moved here, they bought 300 acres, and Frank started a lumber mill. Soon he subdivided those 300 acres, becoming Cary's first developer. He then talked some of his Raleigh friends into moving here, thus becoming Cary's first real estate agent. Using his lumber mill, he built the houses for his new residents, thus becoming Cary's first builder. He supplied their daily needs with his new dry goods store, becoming Cary's premier retailer. He also helped organize Cary's First Methodist Church, which happens to be celebrating its 150th anniversary as well this year, so we say happy anniversary to them. He established Cary's first school, the original Cary Academy. He was Cary's first postmaster, and of course, he was Cary's first mayor. In other words, Frank had it all covered. So the new town that was about to be incorporated had to be called, what else, but Page, North Carolina. Not a bad name, and a very obvious choice, and it even fit on our street signs. But not so fast. The Temperance Movement was in full swing around the United States. Its mission was to prohibit alcoholic beverages, prohibition. And Frank was in full support. Yes, alas, Frank was a teetotaler. He also frowned upon dancing, gambling, and, well, that's a story for another time.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
One of the leaders nationally of the Temperance Movement was Samuel Fenton Cary, a former congressman and future vice presidential candidate from Ohio. He traveled around the country by train and spoke to crowds gathered to hear his golden oratory. In February of 1871, less than 2 months before Cary's incorporation, Sam visited Raleigh, where he became very popular. Why is this? Well, we don't know, but perhaps because he had been only one of just 2 Republicans in Congress to vote against the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. Why was this important? Well, Andrew Johnson was born in Raleigh, and he still had some old family friends and acquaintances living here. So they were sympathetic to his plight. But whatever the reason, Frank was inspired. He greatly admired Sam and Cary was to be the name of his new town. So he filed the necessary paperwork in Raleigh, and you'd think that would be it, but it wasn't all that easy. Perhaps it wasn't easy because just a few days earlier, after a lengthy process, North Carolina Governor W. Holden became the first United States governor to himself get impeached and removed from office. Yes, impeachment was in the news 150 years ago. How do you like that? So state government, as a result, was in transition at this time. It wasn't the best time to get any important business done, and it certainly wasn't in this case. For when Frank got the official completed paperwork back, look close, Cary, C-A-R-E-Y. It was spelled wrong. Maps were printed with the E. Signs were made. Newspapers used the E. As you can see, Cary High School even had an E in the middle of its name. Frank was not happy, and it took a while to get it corrected, but of course, being Frank, he got it fixed. And we became C-A-R-Y, Cary. Whether it's with a hashtag or not, I don't know. And whether the town of 200 people in 1871, or 8,000 people in 1971, or the 170,000 plus that we have today, it's still the town that we all fondly call home. In conclusion, I'd like to recognize the authors of Around and About Cary, Tom Bird and Jerry Miller, the Friends of the Page Walker, the Page Walker Arts and History Center staff, and our Cary clerk extraordinaire, Virginia Johnson, all of whom helped with these history presentations. The picture you see there behind the C-A-R-Y is a pre-COVID picture. That's why we're not wearing masks. It's a pre-COVID picture of the Cary 150 Task Force, along with some of the staff working on the sesquicentennial plans.